Welcome, everybody, to Why Are You an Entrepreneur? The Trials and Triumphs. I'm Maureen Edwards, the founder of 8 Simple Steps. And for those of you just tuning in for the first time or watching this replay, this is where every single week I bring you rock star entrepreneurs on their entrepreneurial journey who are ready to share some words of wisdom, some inspiration, certainly some best practices and how to overcome challenges, because I know that entrepreneurship is hard. And I'm hoping that by hearing from some of these amazing entrepreneurs, it'll take the hard out of it just a little bit. And tonight, no exception, I have Terri Recknor Elliott, who is the CEO and founder of My Pet's Health. And I absolutely love this industry. So this is going to be a great conversation. And she's been an entrepreneur for like 30 years. So if we're going to get words of wisdom, we're getting it here. So how are you, Terri?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to share some of my background, some of the trials and tribulations, and some of the good stuff too.
Absolutely. We definitely want to hear the good stuff. So being an entrepreneur for 30 years, this has got to be in your blood. You probably don't know anything else, but I'm wondering from you, why do you keep doing this decade after decade?
I think I'm not finished yet. Maybe this time I am. I think entrepreneurs, there's one thing we all have in common is that we don't slow down, that we don't fit the norm, and we always think outside the box. And we're always looking for what's next.
Yes.
And how we can do something better. And for me, I think my whole journey has gotten me where I am today. When I look back at everything I've done, the difficulties, the life lessons, the business life lessons, this is the first time I've actually started a business, and this is my third, that I came in with my eyes wide open. I had the background, I had the knowledge, and what I didn't have, I was able to connect, because social media is now driving everything.
Yes.
And when I first started my first company back in the early 90s, there was none of that. There was nobody to really go to and talk. Mentors were at chambers of commerce,
Yes.
Things like that. And I was in my 30s back then. So, I decided to start my first business because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, because I didn't like working for anybody. And my father said the only way I could get what I wanted was to go and do it myself.
And
And
he's absolutely right.
That's why I did it, because I didn't like no's. And I didn't like people telling me what I could do and what I couldn't do. So I think that's always been one of my biggest problems. But it's also, I think, one of my strengths, because I always want more and I always want to be better.
So you were in corporate for a little while. You kind of bounced in and out. And so for people who are leaving corporate right now, and we have a lot of that, a lot of people are leaving their job either because they want to control their own destiny, like what you're talking about. We've got a lot of ageism out there, and people are saying, I am sometimes forced to be an entrepreneur and dive deep into my talent. And those who are coming in from, that outside world, what advice would you give them coming from corporate and now their own boss?
I think it's all about passion, right? What are you passionate about? What do you think you can do better or make a difference? And when I had my canine business, I was very thankful for it. When I started it, I wanted just to stop the drugs that were coming into the schools in Miami. And the gentleman that I partnered with had bomb sniffing dogs. And he said, well, we have bomb sniffing dogs. I'm like, who's going to need bomb sniffing dogs? Right. I'm like, okay, I'll put it on the brochures. I'll understand what it's all about. And then 9/11 happened. And for the first 2 years, I didn't have a day off. I mean, it was insane, but it was so rewarding because we were protecting the homeland, and it was really very patriotic and just made me feel really good. But I didn't want to end it there. I didn't want to just be the dog lady. And we had all the business, I had all the great contacts, but it just wasn't enough for me. So I sold my interest, I took a break, and I started delving into different things and consulting and doing all kinds of stuff. And then I got involved with health and wellness in 2009, repping products, and then working for a company with manufacturers and formulators and learning all about stuff. And all the while, I've been passionate about animals and rescue and because I was in the dog business, of course. My first dog's name was Spencer, and he was a golden retriever. And then the first dog I adopted from a rescue was a golden retriever named Bella. And I really wanted to help them with their lives and make them feel better. So it was kind of like a weird journey that got me to pet supplements, but it's where I need to be. And it's, for me, you always want to leave a legacy. And the canine business was wonderful, and it was at the right time. But I thought, I've got one more inside of me. I know I can make this run one more time. And I just decided that if not now, it's never going to happen. So I told my husband, here we go again. I'm going to do this. And he missed those previous journeys because I was always on my own.
Right.
So this is the first time I've, you have somebody that's there, and you're just, as an entrepreneur, you're shucking and jiving all the time, and your brain never turns off. You know that, Maureen. You're always connecting the dots, right? Every time I have my phone with me, as long as I'm awake, my phone's with me, and I'm always doing notes or voice notes because I'm always getting inspired for something. So I think for anybody that's in corporate, now's the best time, right? Yeah. It's the best time. But find something that it's a niche for you, or something you're passionate about. You can't just go out and try and just come up with anything. I've always found that you've got to be passionate about it, because then your passion is what carries you when times are tough.
So has there been a time that was tough for you, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, my first job, my first entrepreneur with my apparel. So I started an apparel manufacturing company, knew nothing about it.
Just like I did. I started a pet manufacturing company. Okay. Don't recommend the manufacturing route at all.
Not at all. So I was actually in a previous life, I was I don't know if you remember this, a Yellow Page salesperson, the best job in the world. Yes. Because I handled all the largest accounts. This is in Pittsburgh, where I grew up, and you had to learn everything about everything, right? So you got to be really good at, and it was creative because you had these great ideas, and then 6 months later you saw it all in print. So I moved to Key Biscayne. I left that job, and I started selling Yellow Pages in the Caribbean, of all places. Oh, awesome. And I stumbled upon a little swimwear manufacturing company, and I thought, I want to do swimwear. I'm in Miami. Why not? And I was going to partner with them, but they wanted a partnership where I put up all the money and I did all the work. And I'm like, I don't think that's a very good partnership. No. So I decided, how difficult could this be? Really, how difficult? So I started my own. It started out as a swimwear company. I knew nothing about it. And I moved into a place called Hialeah, which had all the manufacturing. And I think everybody on my street was taking bets how long I would last. Because what did I know? But the one thing I did was I used to go to the University of Miami football games, and I had nothing to wear because it was hot. It was like 100 degrees. So I was making bike tights and jog bras. So I thought, I have an embroidery company. I'll just embroider the logo. Next thing you know, I go to a sportswear show in Chicago, the biggest in the country. And I have all these different colors, and I'm tie-dyeing, right? Tie-dyeing swimwear with the logos on the butt, and jog bras and bike tights. And I had somebody from the University of Michigan came up to me and said, would you work with us? We're the largest alumni base in the country. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. So, and they introduced me to JCPenney's. And JCPenney's at that time had like sportswear for all the colleges. And I wound up getting 27 collegiate licenses.
Oh my God.
It was insane. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's kind of your mantra, right? I don't know what I don't know until it slaps you in the face.
Right.
And so I entered into a contract. And I also at that point came out with it was right before the Olympics, Team America. I thought, I'm going to do this Team America, these logos. They were beautiful. Well, the Olympic Committee sued me in federal courts. Yeah, because they said anything with Team and America, they owned. So I had to get a Washington, D.C. lawyer. And she said, you're okay, you're right, but you don't have the money to go up against the Olympic
It's
Committee.
so true. It really is. And this is a good lesson for entrepreneurs out there. First off, you need to trademark your products. You need to, your name and anything that is proprietary to you. But before you do that, you certainly have to check to see if anybody else has it. But I also think this is a good lesson because we don't have deep pockets. And so we do have to be more cautious about this. And so my question for you is, how did you get away from kind of a mess here? What did you do?
So the first order with Pennies, I remember, was $870,000.
And they wanted Team America.
Team America and all these t-shirts and sweatshirts. So I produced the first order. Actually, I didn't produce, I produced the first order, but because it was so large and didn't have that kind of money, I found a company to work with me. And through that company, we did a contract with a factoring company. And at that time, I used a friend, his lawyer, because it was a friend of his. And he says, I'll go through the contract for you. I'll make sure everything's okay. He was a construction lawyer. Okay. And there was a little clause, an arbitration clause in that contract. And the first payment that was due me from JCPenney's, I lost it because the company invoked their arbitration clause. So that was a huge lesson. I tell everybody that was a PhD as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because somebody said, I have a friend that can help you. It won't cost you anything. He's like one of the top lawyers in Miami. Okay, great. Thank you very much. At the end of the day, he didn't know factoring. He didn't know any of that stuff. So all that money, now I took him to court and I won $500,000 federal judgment against them, but I could never collect it.
Because they don't have it.
Because they just shut the one company down and started another company. Okay. So it was a huge lesson for me, really.
Oh, but you know what? The fact that you've come out of it on the other end, and I guess my question is, what happened to that apparel company? Were you able to sell, the fact that you were doing all the other licensing and that sort of thing?
No, it was a really strange time for me. My father had died, right? And then I started the business, right? And because I thought, if he's dead now, I'm going to do this because he said I should do this. Well, my mother passed away like right when all this was going on. And I thought, you know what? I was tired. I was beat up. I was tired. And I said, I'm just going to shut everything down. I took all my embroidery tapes and I fulfilled all my business. And it was funny because I was actually supposed to meet with Jerry Jones and his daughter from the Dallas Cowboys to look at doing a women's line for them. And I just said, I'm done. I'm tired. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. And I shut everything down and I went to my little condo in Key Biscayne and I turned off all the lights and the phone for 6 months and I just vegetated. And just to get my head on straight. And I thought, that's it. I'm pretty much done, and I just really needed to get my energy back because it was a whirlwind, it's such a high. And that's the thing about entrepreneurism, right? The highest highs, the lowest lows. And for me, it was like amazing that I had such great success because I didn't know anything about the industry.
Right.
And to get 27 collegiate licenses, I got Notre Dame, which was really difficult. And it was fun for me. But when that happened, you kind of lose your faith in humanity, Yeah,
I can totally relate to this. It was fun until it wasn't, right? And then it came upon you quickly. And, this is a life lesson, but I'm glad that it didn't turn you off on entrepreneurship, right? You may have needed a little bit of a break, but it's so in you that, again, another company. Yeah. And so I would like to talk about this company that you have now and, some of the successes that you're having with it. And so why don't you share what you're doing now?
So it was interesting. When I shut that business down and I took a break, it was a couple years really before I looked at something else. And I remember when I told people I was going to start this canine business, my family thought I was crazy. Didn't you learn? What do you do, dog? What is wrong with you?
I know. Right? I know. I get that too. Like aren't you smart?
Yeah.
Like, right. They just look at you and go, I thought you were a smart person, but they don't get it.
And you know why? Because they're not entrepreneurs. Like
No,
my husband today says, I don't get how your brain's wired.
exactly.
I don't understand you. I said, you don't need to understand me. Just kind of stay out of my way.
Right.
You know, don't tell me what to do. If I ask you for your opinion. But so that's like now it took me like the last 6 years, I've worked pretty heavily up until probably early 2022, working in the international market, registering products, learning about ingredients. And it's interesting because my business now is with two products. It's a greenlit mussel. Here's one of it. It's I don't know if you can
Yes.
see it, but it's an omega from New Zealand. And I started taking this product in 2009. And I rescued this golden retriever that didn't even look like a golden retriever. And we tried everything medically and nothing would help. I mean, she had no hair, her ears were infected. I mean, her teeth were busted. She was a puppy mill mother that they threw on the street. I tried everything with this dog. And at that point, I had just sold my business. So money was no object. Whatever I could do to save this dog, I was on a mission to save this dog. It wasn't until I started giving this dog this greenlit mussel oil that it turned the dog's life around. Her ears cleared up, her hair grew back. I mean, it was really a miracle, right? And so now I'm like, oh my God, this is like the best product. And for me, it really helped with some inflammation issues I was having. So fast forward to 2017, I'm working in this business and I meet a formulator who's got this great spray and it oxygenates your blood. So of course I said to him, hey doc, can I give this to my dogs? Because I'm always like, I always care about giving something really good to my dogs. He goes, well, you can't give this to your dogs because it has xylitol, but we can make one without xylitol. So I went to the owner of the company. I said, we got to do this. We got to do this product for pets. This is going to be great. It's going to be huge. I thought it was going to be huge, right? Because I'm a dog person. They went out, they bottled, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 units, but the people didn't know how to sell it. And I wasn't in the position before I was working with all the holistic vets in the country. I didn't have that time anymore to do that. So the company did away with the product. And everybody always, I mean, the pet people that were buying it really missed the product. So I decided when I was going to leave this other, and I was a consultant working in this international market, you know what? It's now or never. I believe in these products. And I had two dogs, two Goldens that had passed, one in February, one in July from cancer. But I know I was able to keep them alive because of these two products. I know it in my heart of hearts. So I said, I got to do it. I said to my husband, I'm starting a business. He goes, you're what? I said, I got to have the spray and I got to do my own greenlit mussel. He goes, well, how are you going to do that? I said, I'll find it. I'll figure it out a way. Yeah. I found an extraction company. I found a manufacturer. I did everything. But it's funny because now I have to figure out bringing something in from overseas. I don't have a staff anymore. I don't have a shipping department, but I know a little bit about all of that stuff. I know labeling because I did all that. So for me, when I say the third time's the charm, I'm going into this one, eyes wide open, on a mission. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do something that nobody's doing. I have all these rescues I work with all over the country. I have wild horses that I've saved from kill pens. I have a domestic horse I saved from a kill pen. I've had 6 dogs I've rescued from different rescues. I'm going to give money, real money to these rescues, not a little bit of my profits. Everybody says, oh, we donate a percentage of our profits. Well, if you're running a business, you shouldn't have very many profits, right? If you know what you're doing. So I said, I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to give 10% right off the top of the sale to these rescues. And I'm going to set up my own program and I'm going to call them champions. And I'm going to get with people that are in the trenches every day, working, trying to save these animals from horrific conditions or just people that need their pets rehomed. So I thought, it's my company. I can do whatever the hell I want to do. I'm going to have 2 great products. They're going to help people's pets. And 10% of everything that they purchase is going to go to help the pets that need help. So
that's your business model.
That's who I am. And that's what I'm doing.
So tell me, is the product now on the market? I think you were talking about launching it the last time I spoke with you.
I just launched it yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Perfect timing.
Yeah. I just launched it yesterday. So I was real excited to tell you that on the call today. And I have to tell you, for me, I've spent since last June or July on Score because I remembered SCORE, right? I remember there's an organization that you can go to that these people will mentor you. And I know enough about manufacturing and corporate and shipping and all that, but I wasn't really up on social media and all that different stuff. And you taught me for generations that was because I think, and this is something for all the people that are watching that are going to jump out of corporate into their own thing. You think you know, but you don't really know. So you have to spend the time to learn what you don't know. And I think as an entrepreneur, we're always learning, right? I'm always hungry to be the best. And this is what I've said to when I've worked with people, I said, why don't you want to surround yourself with the best? I don't want somebody that's going to say, yes, Terri, yes, Terri. I want somebody to say, challenge me, right? This is what you need to do. And you need to listen to me. And so what I've done is I've tapped into the best of the best. And I can tell you, I've got notebooks and I screenshot everything. And I have so much because I want to know what I don't know. And I think there's so many tools out there for people. And if you go to SCORE, which is where I met you, thank you very much. You have to, because it's everything. And SCORE's all over the country. So I live in Orlando, but I tap into Orlando, I tap into mid-Florida, and I go to LA because I like the energy in different places of the country. There's different things you can learn. And I think for somebody that's going to start their own business, do not think you can do it by yourself.
Nope. And those are the type of people who I work with every single day. I've found, you cannot Google your way or YouTube your way to a successful business. You can take all of those courses, you can do all of the workshops, you can go on there all day long, but until you have somebody who can help you implement it and answer those questions, it's a tough, tough road. And, I say this all the time. There are people out there who are right there and available. And yet you said yourself, you took it all on. I did too. My first company, took it all on. I do not do that anymore. People are shocked when I say I have a business coach, and they're like, why would you have a business coach when you teach people business and you've created all these companies? Why would you do that? I said, because it's amazing how a different perspective from somebody good can go ahead and only make you better to serve the people you're supposed to serve. So I say this to people: do not go on your own and do it by yourself. There are people out there, there are resources out there, and I love the fact that you've been able to tap in to some of those.
Oh yeah.
And so that's my question for you. Where do you think you're going to be marketing your products? Are there any platforms out there that you would recommend to people out there that you're having success with?
Well, I have to be honest. So I'm very lucky. In a previous life, I lived in the Philippines for a while, helping a company get their business off the ground. And I met an amazing young guy who I'm still friends with today and is my developer. And he's a genius. He really is. He knows so much. Because I'll be on one of the Zooms, right? A training Zoom, and I'll send him a message. He goes, yes, ma'am, I'm already doing that. Okay. Thank you very much. So for me, because it's just me and him.
Yep.
And you're right. One of the things that you've taught me, and I've heard from everybody, and I know from my previous experiences, you cannot do all this by yourself. It's like, I always say, how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
Right.
And I know that I can't be everything to everybody. So for me, I'm tapping in to my rescue organizations that I've helped for a number of years. And I'm saying, here's my plan, right? Partner with me and let's make money for both of us. And so that's when I look at my champions program. I have 2 blind horses out in Reno. They're wild Mustangs. They're blind, and I've been sponsoring them for years. So the gal and she rescues foals at risk. So she's my first champion. And I met her back in, I don't know, 2009, maybe 2010, that long. So all of these people in my life, they're still in my life. All of my pet people are still around. And that's really where I get this from, because it's like, I want to do the best I can to help as many people and pets as I can possibly help. So when I look at where am I going to market, obviously Facebook. I have a ton of friends. I have a ton of, there's pet lovers out there. And I look at these companies that are out there and I read their about us, right? And how did they get started? Well, I decided to do this. I didn't. I had the product. I wasn't looking for a product. I had two amazing products. I just have to now introduce those products to the world. I'm not somebody that's looking for a product. I got them.
Right.
So, and I think that's the difference. And my story, nobody has my story.
No.
And that was something that I learned in all of the social media stuff, especially with yours, right? Is your community. What makes you different? So when you talk to people that are looking to start their own business, who are you and what makes you different that people are going to want to hear your story or be in your community?
Yeah.
And I think that's really, in today's age, that's what it's all about.
And I love, you have a story to share and there are people who need to hear it. And sometimes people are afraid of sharing their story for whatever reason, but people want true authenticity. They want to really know what's behind Terri and this passion. And, I'm so glad when I asked you how you're going to market this, I'm really, really glad you didn't jump and go, oh, I'm going to be all over social media. I'm going to be posting on Instagram. You talked about something more important here, and that's relationships, going into your network, going ahead and partnering with people who need this product, need to be educated on it, and that word of mouth will be like just a trickle down effect for you. And I think this is something people miss. I really do. I think it's hard for people to reach out to their networks.
You know what? I think a lot of it is people, I don't know if they just are apprehensive about being vulnerable, and saying, hey, I need your help here. I got a great idea. Let's work together. And for me, it really is about who can I help the most? And it's got to be, when you look at authenticity, this is who I am. I mean, I still read my story about Bella and I still cry, and it's a long time ago, but it's things that have happened that really have got me where I am. And I need to do this to leave this legacy to help as many pets as I can.
And I'm calling mine right now, who is super restless, Otis, because it's, dinner time and, whatever. And I've talked with you about him and, I'll do anything for him. I am, that ideal client. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's sick and, we've got him on all these medications. And so, exactly who you serve. And I totally get it. I love the pet industry because I have such a passion for animals. I absolutely love them. So I can totally relate, to what you're doing. And I want you to share with everybody your new website. You've launched this, for pet lovers out there who are in need of products like this for their pets to keep them healthy. How did they reach out and purchase this?
It's after my first two Goldens, spencerbella.com.
Oh, that's so cute though, isn't it? I know that.
Well, when you read the about us, when you read the about us and you see Spencer and Bella and you understand it, it all makes sense. And that's what my husband said. He goes, I'm so proud of you. This website, he goes, it's so you. And I said, it is me. It's my journey with these animals. And I think for anybody that's going to start a business, who are you?
Yeah.
What's your mission? What do you want to leave? What do you want people to know about you? It's not just about the money. It's never about the money.
No.
The money's just, it's there. And hopefully you make it. You make enough that you're comfortable.
Right.
But for me, it's like, I know that these products, they do things, and I didn't realize how good it really was until I started really researching it. Like, I know they're great products, but I'm like, oh my God, this is why my dogs have never gone to the vets. This is why I don't have to worry about gut issues. It's crazy. It's like, I knew how good these were, but it wasn't until I really started to write the blogs. And yes, I wrote my blogs because I want people to understand the depth of the ingredients and just how good this stuff is, because life begins and ends at the cellular level. Right. And so I think when you look at all these companies out there that are making money off of these pet parents, I want to teach people, let's take care of their cellular health first, because if they don't have good cells,
Nothing matters. Well, I think one of the most important things too that you just said that I just picked up is know your why. When you know your why you're doing this, I think everything falls into place. And I'm super excited for the passion you have, for the product you have, and the fact that you kept going. I mean, you've been through quite a bit on the entrepreneurial front in this journey. And, you know, for people out there, if you've ever felt like you did want to give up and you didn't know what was going on, I mean, this is living proof right here that you can work through it and be incredibly successful. So, well, I absolutely love that we've had this conversation, and I hope that you're going to return back to share with us how everything is going, since you've only been launched for one day. So
1 day.
This is the first day. This is our kickoff conversation. Everybody go out to spencerbella.com to go ahead and purchase these products for your pets. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this segment. Terri, stay on, even though after we click off, but I do want to say thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who would like to be one of my live guests, regardless of how long you've been in business and what your journey is, you have a story to share, and I have an audience who needs to hear it. There are small business owners looking for you to help them work through what they're going through. So please reach out to me at 8simplesteps.net, or you can direct message me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And let's go ahead and put that together. And if you want the hard taken out of entrepreneurship right from the beginning, or you're kind of in a turnaround phase right now, just let me know. Let's have a chat and see what your next steps should be. All right, everybody, we are out, and I will have another rock star for you next week. And have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Maureen.